what's up, y'all? It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show of your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbott, with my co-host to my left, Rashad Pennell, and my co-host to my right, Khaled Lewis. We're bringing you KBR Sports today at 10 a.m. We hope everybody's having a good morning. How are y'all doing today?
I'm alright.
Doing good. That's what's up. That's what's up. Hopefully, everybody else out there is feeling the same way. We're gonna get right to it, but we're gonna be talking about things from James Harden's comments about how he feels he's the best player in the league to Greg Hardy's comments yesterday at his first press conference coming off suspension, and then we're gonna go into the undefeated teams in the NFL, which one's more likely to stay undefeated this season, and then excuse me, and then about the call and blown call at the end of the Lions game. But going right into the James Harden's comments about how he feels he's the best player in the league and how he feels like he really should have won the MVP, and he believes it 100%. Like he says that in his comments yesterday to the media, or recently to the media, he said, "I know I was MVP. That's 100%. Given all the things that happened last season, I credit the Golden State Warriors for an unbelievable year. They had an unbelievable team, coaching staff, everything. But that award means most valuable to your team. We finished second in the West, which nobody thought we were going to. Yeah, we had an incredible year, even though when everybody was healthy. We were the top in having the most injuries. We won our division in the division where every single team made the playoffs. There's so many factors. I led the league in total points scored, minutes played. Like I said, I'm not going to take anything away from Steph, but I feel I deserve the most valuable player. That stays with me." So, what do y'all think about his comments, especially after, even though he didn't win the most valuable player award, he was still amongst his peers at the Players Awards. He was voted MVP by his peers. So, do y'all think he should, be happy with the fact, like, hey, you're amongst your peers, you're the best player, you were the most valuable player to your team, or do you feel like, because he right now he's pretty much talking to the media saying y'all needed to have voted me the most valuable player also. So, what do y'all think? Carly, we'll start off with you.
Um, I think as an NBA player, you strive to be the best you can be, and I think I do understand where he comes from when he say he's the best in the league. Like as a player,
Mm-hmm.
he's just saying because you want to be the best, so you're gonna say that you are the best, and you have numbers to show that you did amazingly during the season, and you perform like a great player, like one of the best in the league. You do perform like the best in the league.
Yeah.
And I do feel him when he said he was like that he got the most points, played the most minutes, 100%. He should have been MVP, but I mean, Steph Curry did lead his team to the finals. I mean, that don't have no that. Mm, I mean,
Let us team to a championship.
yeah, led his team to a championship, and beat what you call it, beat the Rockets, and it was one series away from getting the championship. I just feel like you know he should have stepped up. He should have performed a little bit more because he did say, "You think that's all I got," or he says, "You don't think I can do more?" He asked on the report, and he was like, well, "Just wait, I'll show you." It was like, so I'm thinking, just why didn't you show that that more
Mm-hmm.
last year? I understand you don't have, your team was injured and all that, and sometimes you didn't have all the pieces you needed, but he did step up as a great, as a great leader to his team, as a great player.
Okay. Well, Rashad, we'll get right back to you, Khaled. But Rashad, what do you think about it?
I mean, it's everybody has their own, like can voice their own opinion. Basically, for him to say he's the MVP, feel like just because his players voted him the MVP, and kind of how we was talking about last time, how we feel like the players should have more talk than the media, stuff like that. It's honestly what you prefer because if if he feels like he wants MVP, but Steph Curry feel like he won MVP, then I mean, you what we gonna do? Sit here and say that Steph Curry didn't win MVP? You know what I mean? Like James James Harden basically did, like you said, scored the most points, played the most minutes. But what is when is playing the most minutes have a factor to do with it? Because what about the year before when Jimmy Butler played the most minutes or something like that? Like playing most minutes don't mean anything. Yeah, you scored the most points. Yeah, you hit the most free throws. But at the same time, you still lost to Steph Curry's team in the Western Conference Finals.
But the MVP is awarded in the second round of the playoffs.
It
It's not.
is.
It's not given
And,
in the
okay,
Western Conference.
you're right. And you got to think about when when Steph Curry was playing the Pelicans, those shots he had to hit just to win it. how much he played a factor into his team making it past the Pelicans on some of those games, which was Steph Curry. So why couldn't Steph Curry what's wrong with Steph Curry being the MVP more so than say James Harden should be an MVP kind of?
The MVP comes down to your regular season performance.
Okay.
It's not about the
And
postseason.
It's not about it, but
So it comes down to your regular season performance.
Fact. That's why they don't give it out in the season.
But that's not how you're supposed to judge. They're supposed to give it away.
You judge for the regular season. You judge for the start of the playoffs.
The overall performance of the regular season. And regular season, James Harden averaged 27.4 points, 7 assists.
This is not the scoring title though. This is the MVP.
No, it's not. It's not the scoring. But he had better numbers than Steph Curry also, and his team was second place behind Steph Curry's team. With less players, with more injuries. Like he said, they led the league in injuries.
They voted.
He played without any All-Stars on his team. Dwight Howard was hurt.
Not all the season.
For most of the season, Rashad. For most of the season, Dwight Howard was hurt. He did not come back into full form until the playoffs. And James Harden carried that team all the way to the playoffs. He played without Patrick Beverly, played without Dwight Howard, and he got that team to the playoffs. So what about, that's his case.
So what about the hurt year, like when Kobe was playing crazy, and then he got hurt when he tore his Achilles, and they made the playoffs because of Kobe?
They didn't. No. That
was a hurt team.
But he still had Pau Gasol with him.
No. This was with Dwight Howard.
Yeah, I know. And you still had another All-Star helping you. And it's not
And
the Lakers were not at the top of the Western Conference.
No, they weren't.
That year the Lakers
But
were
they
eighth.
made the playoffs.
No, but that's because you make the playoffs doesn't mean the reason why Russell
the Rockets
Westbrook,
wasn't top.
The reason why the Rockets were numbered the second seed
They
in the
was
Western
second seed. That's
Conference.
not the top.
You're
Golden State was the top.
You're still top 2 seed in the West, and you as an individual player being the only All-Star on your team because your other All-Stars are hurt, you had to carry that load for your team, and you were the core production of productivity for your offense. So that makes it easier for other teams to key in on you. So he did all that by himself, pretty much making Trevor Ariza, Jonas Valanciunas, all those other guys better. Armani Eunice, making all those guys better. He made all those players actually productive. If you take James Harden away from that mix, and I bet you replace him with Dwight Howard, that team does not make it to the playoffs.
No.
If you tell me James Harden's out for most of the
Wait, so you're saying a healthy
Dwight Howard?
He did it with the Magic.
It's not the same Dwight Howard, Rashad.
But
the Magic,
you said healthy.
The Magic Dwight Howard was the best center in the league with no doubt. Yes, healthy, but he's not the same
Dwight
center.
Howard can still make an impact.
I'm talking about the center they got in the playoffs. I'm talking about the center they had throughout the playoffs. You can put that Dwight Howard throughout this whole season. That center they called healthy throughout the whole season. Put him throughout the season. Tell him to carry this team with his no free throw hitting self. Tell him to carry this team throughout every single game, especially in the fourth quarter when people were to start hack-a-shacking him. They won't be number two in the West. But that's the point. He had them at number 2.
Steph Curry had them at number 1.
Steph Curry had them at number 1, but he had his whole team riding with him. Steph Curry's team is arguably made of 4 All-Stars and more. You had David Lee, you got Steph Curry, you got Klay Thompson, you got Andre Iguodala, you got Draymond Green, you got Harrison Barnes.
Only 2.
2 of them made, but there are former All-Stars on that team.
And there's former All-Stars on the Rockets team.
Dwight Howard, Patrick Beverly, hurt. That's my point. They were hurt. Nobody else has made the All-Star team. They were all hurt. And he did it all by himself, carried them. When Kobe did it back in 2012, I believe, we were the 8th seed. We were not a good team. We were almost.
We still made the playoffs.
Just because if that's the case, then Russell Westbrook or Anthony Davis should have won the MVP.
They still shouldn't have won the MVP.
Anthony Davis carried the Pelicans to the playoffs. But the reason why the playoffs, your record factors in.
If you took a Steph Curry off of that team.
And if you take you take Anthony Davis off the Pelicans, or you take James Harden
that's why they were all nominations for the MVP.
Yes, but there's a reason. But James Harden is merely saying I was the best player of this season.
Everybody
and I
I
carried the team. Steph Curry did not play as many minutes as James Harden did to help his team get. Steph Curry didn't have to play 4 quarters because his team was so good. James Harden had to play so many minutes because his team wasn't as good. So James Harden is merely saying, hey, and we're talking about most valuable. You take Steph Curry off the Warriors, they're not the same Warriors team, but they can still make the playoffs. Take James Harden off the Rockets, that's an argument if they can make the playoffs. That's a very good argument to see if they can make the playoffs. Because we saw the minute you took Kobe off of the Lakers team, Dwight Howard and them got swept. They didn't win 1 game against the Spurs because Kobe wasn't there. So you're telling me Dwight Howard could carry that team all the way through the season against everybody else, and he doesn't have James Harden and Patrick Beverly either. James Harden is the reason why that team was so productive because James Harden is a point guard / shooting guard. He knows how to assist and he can score and he controls the tempo of the game so well because he gets fouled and he gets the other team's big men and other teams' best wing players in foul trouble because he's so great at drawing fouls. Dwight Howard, he will get hacked a shack and shoot his team out the game because he can't hit free throws. So what do you think about it all? About his, pretty much about what he's saying about you have to lead the West. Or about leading the West and stuff or the Warriors leading the West in order to make the play, or again for Steph Curry to get the MVP.
You said the Warriors leading?
Yeah, because they won the Western Conference. I mean, they in totality they won the championship, but they throughout the regular season they had the best record in the whole NBA.
They got more wins. It was just a hurt, a hurt Rockets team. I do think like you said, James Harden did put the team on his back. He didn't really have anybody, to go throughout the whole season with. So I do feel him when he said he deserves it because he did put the team on his back essentially. And Steph Curry did have like his full team. So if they just won more because they had their full team. So they essentially won more games because they were a better team altogether.
And Steph Curry, this man James Harden was averaging LeBron James type numbers, and LeBron James has even felt some kind of way of being left out the MVP conversation. And his team was leading the Eastern Conference for a while until the Atlanta Hawks were just doing their thing. But LeBron James, everybody knows LeBron James all around is the best player in basketball. But even LeBron James, conceded the fact that it bothers me. So I mean, James Harden, he's just expressing his opinion that.
That's what I said.
No, but I'm saying, you have to see where his point is coming from. You're just acting like he doesn't deserve it just because his team wasn't number one in the West. But where his point is coming from
I'm trying to say you can't take nothing from Steph Curry saying he don't deserve it.
Nobody is taking anything. He credited in that quote I read at the beginning of the show. He credited Steph Curry and the Warriors saying he had a great season. But he said, I think I still deserve the MVP. There's nothing wrong with him saying that. But I'm just telling you where his standpoint is because during the whole season I thought James Harden would have won. And we're talking about most valuable player to their team.
Yeah, we talked about this last semester.
So if we're talking about most valuable player to your team, you take Steph Curry off of the Golden State Warriors. This man Klay Thompson drops 37 in a quarter. You take James one game, but you see the potential that a player on that team has. No, you take James Harden off that team. Tell me who lists a player on that team that's going to replace the productivity of a James Harden. Nobody's going to replace the productivity of James Harden, Steph Curry. But which team suffers the blow worse?
Of those two teams?
Yes.
The Rockets suffer more. But if we're gonna go based on just your team, most popular your team, like you said, it should be Russell Westbrook or it should be Anthony Davis.
But they did not get second place in the conference. That is my point.
You can't keep using this place in the
that
conference.
Matters. That's the reason why Steph Curry won it.
Exactly.
If Steph Curry was not
you're
one.
telling me that I can't use that they won.
No, but I'm saying James Harden was right behind him with less help. That is my point. James Harden was right behind him. If the Warriors had lost, say, like about 10 or so games or more, the Rockets were right there. The Rockets were legit right there they won the division, and every team in their division made the playoffs. The Warriors division, three teams didn't make they're the only team that made the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns didn't make it. The Lakers didn't make it. The Clippers are the only other team that made it with them. Other than that, no other team made the playoffs. They got in the Houston Rockets division. You got Dallas that made the playoffs. You got San Antonio that made the playoffs. Those are two championship teams right there, playoff contending teams, and they still won the division against those guys.
Which makes you show that him scoring 28 points is not winning the game by himself. He has players that can still point points up also.
But he's facilitating the offense for them to put up them points.
Okay, Steph Curry's not.
I'm not saying Steph Curry's not, but I'm saying
they're all NBA players. It doesn't matter who it is. They're all NBA players.
They're all NBA players. That's an ignorant statement because it's obvious. We know that the level of talent helps dictate the success your team has. No, it helps dictate the success you have in the regular season and in the postseason.
LeBron used to do it all the time.
LeBron James is. You just listed the best player in the game.
But he never had help. But he can still finish number one.
But look, you just named the best player in the game.
It doesn't matter.
And LeBron also did have another All-Star. He had another All-Star. Mo Williams was an All-Star.
Come on now.
He was an All-Star.
Come on now.
He was an All. Was he not an All-Star? Was he not an All-Star? You gonna take away Mo Williams' All-Star game appearance now? Just so it sounds better for the argument? He was an All-Star. Nobody else on the Rockets is throughout this season, apart from Dwight Howard and Patrick Beverley, and they were hurt. So, I mean, what is the case you're making? I'm saying the reason why Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis are disregarded from this argument is because, one,
They didn't have a good.
if Russell Westbrook was in the second seed or seeded second in the Western Conference, he would have won it because when Kevin Durant went out, that team was just disability. It was worthless after Kevin Durant went out. And then Russell Westbrook averaged nearly a triple-double throughout the whole month of February and afterwards in order to even have that team in a shooting chance of making the playoffs. But people were saying if Russell Westbrook had a better record, he probably would have won the regular season MVP. And I agree with that. But your record plays into account of when you win the MVP. You notice most MVPs that have been awarded MVP have the best record in the league or second best record in the league. Kobe Bryant, back in 2005, 2006, he averaged 30-something points for the Lakers to make the playoff. Didn't win it. Want to know why? He didn't have the best record. Want to know who had the best record? The Phoenix Suns did. The Dallas Mavericks did. So Dirk Nowitzki and Steve Nash won them. But Kobe Bryant didn't. Even though it's arguable Kobe could have won it, and he was the best player in the league at the time. But now, you see James Harden, he had no help, gets his team the second best record in the Western Conference, a tougher conference than the Eastern Conference, which LeBron James plays in. He gets his team the second best record in that conference, and yet he still gets slighted for Steph Curry. Granted, Steph Curry and them had an amazing season. I get it. I understand. I'm not saying that Steph Curry didn't deserve the MVP, but I'm saying when James Harden makes the case for why he deserves it, I'm like, if you're talking about what entitles the MVP, the player that's most valuable to their team and help their team perform at the highest level. The Warriors perform at the highest level of any team. It's documented, it's stated. But if you take Steph Curry and James Harden off their respective teams, I'm just saying one team makes the playoffs, one team doesn't. That's just how it is in stone. Because I mean, I've seen the stats of how many games the Warriors have won without Steph Curry, how many games the Rockets have won without James Harden. It's a big dip. It's a big dip. So, I mean, he should feel I mean some kind of way about he at least won it from his contemporaries. So I mean, he should at least be happy with that. But going on from basketball, from the association, we're gonna go on to the National Football League. I don't know if y'all were watching Monday Night Football this past week, man. But referees, man, you would think the replacement refs were in we're working this past week. Yeah, the replacement refs, because there was a obvious missed call at the end of the Lions and Seahawks game where KJ Wright, where initially Calvin Johnson catches the ball and is extending for the goal line, never breaks the plane to the goal line, but the ball gets deflected out of his hands and turns into a fumble by Cam Chancellor. So the ball's bouncing in the end zone when KJ Wright comes and then just there's a little tippy tap out of bounds. So the ball further, so the ball further goes back out of bounds. But NFL rules regulate that neither team or player can touch the ball or bat the ball in either end zone. And on the offense, it would be considered a safety. The defense is supposed to be a penalty, and you get the ball at the goal line for the offense. But what actually happened in the game was the Lions lost possession, and the ball was given to the Seahawks as a touchback. So, if only one can guess what might have happened if the Lions get the ball at the 1 yard line for first and goal and get 4 attempts to score the ball. So I mean, it makes the league look a certain kind of way because I mean these weren't replacement refs, because the replacement refs years ago messed up a very big call in the Seahawks and Packers game. Seems like the Seahawks are always in controversial calls, right? Yeah, they messed up
about that. Was it the interception or the catch?
Yeah, it was that very play, and the replacement refs ruled it a touchdown when it was supposed to be ruled like one ref saying interception, one ref is going like this. Yeah. So it's like. You're like, wait, what? And the rule states if a receiver and a defensive player both catch the ball, a possession is awarded to the receiver. But I think the ref awarded possession to the defensive back. So it cost the team a victory that day. So now it's like these are the real refs, and you're messing up calls. So how do y'all think about this? This debacle that happened, and because the NFL is just like, we missed the call. Yeah, they're just like, hey, we missed the call. But you can't just say you missed the call because if you get that call right, you could potentially tell me that the Seattle Seahawks would be 1-3 right now in a division with the Rams. Yeah, with the division with the Rams, the Cardinals, and the 49ers. They would be 1-3, where the Rams would be 2-2, and the Cardinals would be 3-1, and the Lions would be sitting at 1-3 instead of 0-4. So Detroit Lion fans are like, y'all robbed us, because I mean, you give a team 4 chances to score at the goal line. I mean, and you got Megatron, well, formerly known as Megatron, because he ain't been playing like Megatron. It's a very great possibility they could score or at least tie the game up. But what do y'all think about this call? How it reflects on the league? Rashad, we'll start off with you.
It robbed the Lions out of a win. The Seahawks should be missing the playoffs this season now, but now they're still having a running for it.
You mind if I say a stat real quick?
Go ahead, say a stat.
So there was a stat that if the Seattle Seahawks would have lost that game, their chances of making the playoffs would have been 35%. But if they won the game to improve to 2-2, which they did, their chances to make the playoffs would be 60%. So now they have a 60% chance of making the playoffs.
So that percentage was
it's basically like in a division like that where the Seahawks now can actually potentially win the division now because they're 2-2 instead of 1-3. You have, even though you're tied with the Rams and the Cardinals are 1 game ahead. You see, when it comes to division, the Cardinals can be a little suspect when they play divisional games. Granted, the Rams have really good defense and everything too, and their offense was clicking that day. But the Cardinals, when it comes to the division game, they're a little suspect now. The Seahawks are starting to click. They're undefeated since Cam Chancellor came back, so they're gonna continue that drive. 12th man is coming back alive now, so now they got this momentum going. So them winning this game off of a bad call that should have been Detroit's ball at the 1-yard line for 4 plays actually is going to help out the Seahawks. And basically the Lions season is done. Time for them to tank because they can't. There's no way they're making the playoffs. There's no way they can make the playoffs now, thanks to KJ Wright batting the ball out.
All right, Khalid, what is your piece about it?
I do agree with Rashad when he said. Hey, I just had in my head. I need some sleep. But I'm not gonna worry about what Rashad said. What you call the Lions? They definitely were robbed of that win because they probably would have got that win, that touchdown in 4 tries on the 1-yard line. The officials really need to pay attention because aren't they supposed to, when they fumble, aren't they supposed to review it? Or is that just for a turnover?
It's only on a turnover. You can't review a penalty. So if somebody if somebody would have recovered the ball in the end zone, you review. But the thing is, you review a fumble, so you can review the fact that Calvin Johnson fumbled the ball, but you can't go back and look at the KJ Wright, swat and then call a penalty afterwards. It's like at that moment he has to either throw the flag or not. He was like right there, he's right there. Like the ref is looking at KJ Wright like this, and they bat, and then they huddle up, and then they don't say anything. They just like, no
if he was right there at the point about to throw the flag, he should have went ahead and threw the flag because that's an illegal move, and they know they're not supposed to do that. If you've seen it, that should have been an instant flag.
All right, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Okay, wait. Say what you're gonna say.
Basically, the back ref was like, basically from the motion from him looking at it, it didn't look like he actually batted the ball out. That's basically what the back judge said. So that's why he didn't throw the flag. It's because it looked like from what he saw, from where he's looking at it, because we saw it, plenty of times slow down and see how the ball starts coming backwards and everything. But yeah, think about it's kind of like the same thing of a ref and a foul and a charge. You see it real time, you see it one time, and he said from what it looked like, it didn't look like he batted the ball out, so he couldn't throw the flag.
He wouldn't have been able to review it.
Yeah, so that's why he didn't throw the flag.
I see what you're saying there.
But okay, so I'll pose a question to you. So if the ref is sitting there looking at the ball, right, and like he said, we all saw, because it's easier for us to be like, oh, he missed the call, but when we see it slow down, we see the ball starting when it bounces coming towards KJ Wright, it bounces like this, so it's starting to turn backwards towards him, and then KJ Wright's, oh no, and bats it out. But to the ref, he may be thinking, oh, the ball's already going out of bounds. So if it was already going out of bounds, it's going to be a touchback anyways. So, and pretty much a touchback would be the other team would get the ball at their 20-yard line. So the ref's sitting here thinking maybe he's gonna go out of
He's gonna
bounds
try
anyway.
to
So
do
it's no point in me throwing a flag on it. What do you
But
think about that perspective of the ref thinking hey,
and
maybe
he
that's how it
doesn't
happened?
and he doesn't see
He doesn't see the reason to throw the flag even when they huddle up. He tells the other refs that. He's like, I don't see the reason to throw the flag.
I think at that point, then if that's exactly what happened, then nah.
No, I'm saying that's how he might see it.
Yeah,
But we saw what happened. The ball was bouncing back into the end zone, and once the ball is a fumble, it's a live ball, so anybody can recover. So if a Lions player would have recovered the ball in the end zone, it would have been a touchdown. So KJ Wright's batting the ball out of bounds, so nobody can recover it. So they get the ball back. But what do you think that from that perspective, how the ref might have saw it? How do you think about him not throwing the flag?
I think I understand him not throwing the flag at that perspective, but seeing it at a different perspective as the viewer and as being able to see it back to back because he wasn't able to review it, so he didn't see it again. So I see where he's coming from at that point, but from my viewpoint, it definitely was an illegal move.
Like I just think it makes the NFL look bad because I mean these are your top of the line officials. Like these aren't your replacement refs that you pulled from some high school game or college game. These are top of the line officials. They're supposed to know every rule in the rule book from A to Z. And from them not knowing or for him not, applying this rule at such a pivotal point in the game. Because I mean, a lot of stuff applies to if a ref throws a flag or not. Like, I mean, you got to think about it. They're playing in Seattle, and you make that call. There's gonna be a lot of upset Seattle fans, and you're just sitting there in the stadium. You make that call. I mean, you gotta go home at the end of the day. So for a game to be decided on a call like that, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't choose not to or to throw a flag because of where the game is being held at and what kind of fan base they have. But you gotta apply the rules as they're put in the rule book. You can't just withhold your whistle, because that initially cost the Lions their season.
So but like you said, you gotta throw the flag. But like I said, like you saw it in real time. So what about the NBA refs? If they don't call a foul on the final possession of the game when it should be a foul,
that's wrong too.
Yeah. Or if they don't,
that is also wrong.
They call a charge instead of a blocking foul because dude moving his feet.
But I'm saying
he's wrong for that too.
No, because there's always human error. It's a missed call. But there's a difference because he huddled with the other refs also. There's more than one ref on the field. He's just the back judge ref that has the best.
So
but then when you see KJ Wright going like this, I mean, you can only essentially guess that he is batting at the ball. When you essentially see it, I mean, we're seeing it. Way we see it initially, we saw it slow down and everything, yes. But way we're seeing it from the side camera view. He's looking right there, like from how I am looking at that door. He's sitting there watching the play. So he sees it taking place right in front of him. And he sees KJ Wright running up to the ball and going like that. And then you see the change of the ball spinning as he bats it out.
We don't see that. We can't see the change of the ball spinning because
I'm saying
we see it. He don't see it.
But I'm saying we're not refs. We're not trained to see that. He is. That's why he went to school for this. So that refs are held to a higher standard of accommodating to the rules. He's supposed to be able to decipher all this. Yes, that's the point of refs. There's room for human error. There's room for you missee things sometimes, which is why especially in basketball, because it's so fast, and that play also happens so fast. But when you see a man go like this to a ball and the ball goes out at a faster rate than it was bouncing initially, I mean, you got to kind of assume that he touched the ball, especially if the ball is bouncing up like this, and all of a sudden it's sitting in the air, and then he's running by, and it all of a sudden just moves forward. You're gonna kind of assume that he touched it. He had done something with the ball to make it move. It's not just gonna all of a sudden just move out on its own. I mean, nobody got psychic powers now, so you gotta assume that he touched it. And that, as for the NFL, I mean, that's your top of the line officials, and it's like if you're getting calls wrong like that, I mean, it doesn't make it look good. I mean, granted, it's hard for anybody to say that, because the refs have some of the toughest jobs in all sports, especially refs in soccer, football, and basketball, because there's such, like fast-paced plays, like, the speed of the game goes so fast. It's just hard to make judgment calls just right off the bat. But it's just like, man, you cost the team their season, and like, damn, the NFL, all you say is just, we missed the call, guys.
You can't do anything about it. Now you
Yeah, that's
you
bad.
can't do anything about it. But it's just like you have to. I feel like the refs should be held to a higher standard of culpability in a sense, because for them to just be like, "Hey, we missed a call," but then you're all over it when a player has a helmet to helmet hit or something like that, or when something happens to a player. Players are held culpable, at a high expense, but the refs aren't. You see what I'm saying? So if a player tackles somebody wrong, or like Odell Beckham struck a guy the other day in the Bills game, nobody saw it initially at real time speed, but then when they go back and they saw the play, he now could possibly he's getting fined for it. So it's like you hold players culpable of their actions, but when the refs mess up, all you say is we missed the call, guys.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like I mean, it's just not a good look. The same with the NFL. There's a good few teams that are still unbeaten in the NFL right now, y'all. The Falcons, the Packers, the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Patriots. And it's interesting to wonder, man. I mean, we're going into week 5. You know what I mean? Like we're at. It's funny how fast time goes. We're already at the halfway mark of the season, and you just wonder like which of these teams is gonna lose. Like this weekend, the Falcons are slated to play the Redskins. The Packers are slated to play the Rams. The Bengals are supposed to play the Seahawks. The Patriots are playing the Cowboys, and the Broncos play the Raiders. So,
Why you say that last one like that?
well,
They play the Raiders,
yeah, they play the Raiders. But I'm not sleeping on the Raiders.
but they play the Raiders.
I'm not sleeping on the Raiders. But I can't put the all on Peyton Manning. I'm not gonna say because they're trying to change the whole offense. They're trying to take offensive control away from Peyton Manning.
Mm.
But going from that, who do y'all believe of the unbeaten teams is most likely to fall this weekend? Khalid, give me your perspective on it first.
I feel like Cincinnati might be the one.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we was just talking about the Seahawks coming off that that win from that missed call and giving them momentum. Like that's what I wanted to reference. What you call it? The Seahawks having that momentum now that they won that game off that missed call. Now they feel like they can play at a level where they like feel comfortable that they can win their division
Mm-hmm.
and essentially be in the playoffs. So I do feel like they're gonna play at a very elite level. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, they playing amazingly well, but I don't know, the matchup for them seems harder than the other teams.
Okay, Rashad, what do you think?
I agree. The Seahawks. The Seahawks is probably the best. I'd say the best team that's playing the undefeated teams right now. That has a chance to win. If the Cowboys was healthy, maybe the Cowboys. And like I said, don't sleep on the Raiders. Because like I said, Peyton Manning, that team has not been putting up the points like it used to. And actually,
But their defense has been
their
amazing.
defense has been good too. But the Raiders are actually a team that's kind of putting up some points.
Mm-hmm.
That has a vertical deep threat and everything now. They actually have a run game. So that's a team that you can't really sleep on. You can't be like you can't think of like the old Raiders like, oh, it's an automatic win, it's an easy win on the schedule. I don't think the Raiders is an easy win no more, especially the way the Broncos been playing. Even though they have a good defense, they don't put enough points up for me to confidently say they're going to beat the Raiders. But I feel the Seahawks is probably be the ones that'll beat the Cincinnati.
I think the Broncos have the what? Who do I want to? I think the Seahawks have the Patriot effect / Pittsburgh Steeler effect when Big Ben is healthy, because the Broncos the way they're changing their culture is to run the ball more and make sure Peyton Manning is less liable to be hit as many times in a game as he's being hit. But I also feel like they always know that, hey, when it comes down to game time, we're gonna put the ball in Peyton Manning's hands so that he will take us to the promised land. Whenever they played, over 60% of their drives when Peyton Manning plays out of the shotgun has resulted in touchdowns. So no, most times it's because they're trying to force run the ball or force I formation plays or force single back formation plays, that they're trying to run this offense that that's not tailored to how Peyton Manning's strengths are. They're not. That's the reason why they're not putting up points. But the minute they give the offense to Peyton Manning, they start going on scoring runs, because then he starts going back in the shotgun, Omaha on all teams. So I think the Broncos. I know the Raiders aren't a team to sleep on, but I mean, I at the same time, the Raiders defense, No.
But some of the defense the Broncos been playing this season aren't that
Khalil
good.
Mack is a great defensive player, but
Some of the defense the Broncos playing aren't that good this season, and they still don't put up points.
same thing with the Raiders.
You're
And you're
right.
talking about the Raiders putting up points. Their defenses that they played haven't been.
See,
And the Raiders are 2-2.
The Raiders are 2-2. What are the games they lost with no Derek Carr?
And
Derek Carr makes a big impact on that team for the quarterback.
so does the health of Peyton Manning's running backs.
But CJ,
Especially if you're running the ball all the time. If you're telling him, hey, we're not gonna have our starting running back, but we're gonna keep running the ball. Does that sound like a good proposition?
the backup running back was a starter before.
That don't matter.
It do.
Because
you have a better.
Josh McCown's the starter in Cleveland. He was a backup before.
No, but I'm saying because the backup is still Monte Ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Monte Ball was a starter for them last year.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Anderson wasn't really there. Well, he wasn't even there.
Mm-mm.
So and
we saw how the Broncos did last season.
But he's still a starting running back. You brought someone in who's better. It's same thing with everything.
So is Trey Mason the starting running back?
He started, didn't he?
Just because you start,
He started last season.
Is Josh McCown a starting quarterback?
No. See, you're changing it. He was a
Are
starter
these
for
people
more than one
starters?
season.
Are these people starters?
Trey
Josh
Mason.
McCown was a
Trey
starter
Mason
for more
didn't.
than one season.
Trey Mason didn't even start all 16 games as a starter.
Is Trey Mason a starting running back?
No.
Is Josh McCown a starting quarterback?
No.
Is Monte Ball a starting running back
Yes.
on a championship team?
Why does he have a championship team? Why can't he just be a starting back in the league?
Because there's a difference between.
If he was a starting running back for a championship team, they wouldn't have CJ Anderson there.
But I'm saying that's the point. That's the point.
But he still can carry the load for the team. I'm saying.
But when you give the ball to him, it's obvious the Broncos' offense hasn't been effective.
It hasn't been that effective with CJ Anderson there either.
But I'm saying though, that's the reason why they've been putting the ball in Peyton Manning's hands more often. And I'm saying,
the run's not effective.
Yeah, because the run is not effective, but they're forced running the ball because they're trying to get into that John Elway way of winning the games now, where it's not all you're not all credit is the reason for winning is not all on Peyton Manning. The reason for winning is more of a team thing than just Peyton Manning. Because before they won with just Peyton Manning, but they got to the Super Bowl. But now you're trying to change the culture. Granted, they just started the season with the new coach, and last year it was Peyton Manning or bust, and Peyton Manning got hurt against the Rams last season, and then his play dropped. If you can say drop, even for most quarterbacks, that's not drop. But for Peyton Manning, it was considered a drop in production. But now you're force feeding these running backs, one who's a rookie and one who, on most NFL teams, I don't think would start. If you go through top tier top tier teams of the league that have actual starting running backs, I don't think he would start. I think at this point the Broncos are just like, hey, whoever's next up. Now, if you're telling me, cause especially with the culture they're trying to run, if you're telling me that team's a Peyton Manning run offense and it's the Peyton Manning passes and the shotgun stuff all the time, Monte Ball's a starting running back. But in a team that runs the ball predominantly, he's not a starting running back. On the Patriots, they can start Monte Ball because Tom Brady's always throwing the ball. But if you're telling me you're going to run the ball 60 to 40% of passing the ball, he's not a starting running back. That's the reason why the Patriots have never had a name, official running back or a name running back because they throw the ball so much and they just run screens and stuff with the receivers and the running back. So if you're telling me that he's a starting running back on a run-dominant team, no. But I also agree with y'all that the Seahawks are most likely to beat the Bengals because, the Bengals, they've been playing great and all, but that Seahawks defense, man, when Cam Chancellor is in the lineup, they are just ferocious. Like, it's just lethal how much they limit their opponents. Their offense is not good at all. But that's the weird thing with the Seahawks for me because they're such a tricky pick because you don't know what their offense is going to do game in, game out. Like, think about it. Russell Wilson looked amazing last game. Like, apart from his 2 fumbles. But he looked amazing. And they held, they didn't put a lot of points on the board, but think about all the hero plays and all the scramble plays Russell Wilson made. And yet they didn't even put that many points up. And you just sit there and you're like, man, I feel like
they should have had a whole lot.
Yeah, I feel like they should have had more points. Granted, Marshawn Lynch did not play last game. But you're sitting there, you're like, man, I feel like they should be putting up more points. Like you said in past shows, how they're not using Jimmy Graham. It's honestly just odd that you trade away your best offensive lineman for a wide receiver that his specialty is not to block. but then you have him just blocking, and then he's had 4 receptions in like previous games, and it's just like, what? This man is arguably, along with Gronkowski, the best tight end in the game. Like, what? And you're not gonna utilize him to his full capability. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, defense wins championships, offense does win games, and I think their defense is just it just smothers, like, it smothers. But then also, the weird thing for one of the other picks, you're talking about the Cowboys and the Patriots. It's weird because the Cowboys are just a team that I just don't, because I just don't get the Cowboys.
Even if it was healthy. Even if it was healthy.
If y'all had everybody healthy.
Okay, everybody. Okay, no. I'm not even gonna say everybody. Even if you take away Orlando Scandrick, because he got hurt before the season started. Mm-hmm. If you had everybody who's been here since we started the season, I think that would be a team that beat the Patriots.
I honestly don't know.
Think we get Rolando McClain back this week too, and we get Greg Hardy back. So think about it. You have Rolando McClain and Sean Lee, usually middle linebackers. Mm-hmm. Greg Hardy and DeMarcus Lawrence on your 2 ends, and then you have your corners. I mean, your corners are a little suspect, but mainly you need your linebackers to guard like a Gronk or
nobody can guard Gronk. Nobody can guard Gronk.
They can contain him.
Nobody can guard Gronk. Nobody can guard. Bro, the Seahawks couldn't even contain Gronkowski. Nobody can guard Gronk, bro.
Who do they have other than
Cam Chancellor? What?
Cam Chancellor doesn't line up directly on him.
Yes, he does. That's what he did in the Super Bowl. He did that the whole Super Bowl. He guarded Gronkowski. That's what they were always saying. We have to be rough with him, because Cam Chancellor is the one person that's 6 foot something that can match up with Gronkowski's physicality. They did try matchups where they put Bobby Wagner on him, who Bobby Wagner is a good coverage linebacker, which the Cowboys don't have.
You don't think Sean Lee is a good cover cornerback?
I don't think he's as good coverage linebacker as Bobby Wagner, and he also doesn't have Cam Chancellor behind him helping him. And then Cam Chancellor is also covering Gronkowski throughout the game too. So those are 2 things they don't have. So even if y'all were that healthy, the only way I see y'all possibly, if y'all were that healthy, being the Patriots, is if Greg Hardy and your whole defensive line and your linebackers are able to keep Tom Brady uncomfortable in the pocket,
which I think we can do now.
I honestly throw the balls out way too fast.
Which I think we can do still.
Y'all secondary is poo. I don't think y'all could contain y'all couldn't hold super water, bro. I honestly like after watching how y'all have lost recently, like y'all secondary sucks. Like, it's bad. It's bad. It's just weird because the Cowboys will put up all these points, and that's the reason why I'm like, the Cowboys are a trick pick, because they put up all these points, and then their secondary is just bad. Like, they just get destroyed. Like, you let CJ Spiller, granted that was a rookie that got put in because Sean Lee got hurt, but you let CJ, like, you have one job.
If you look at the play, he came in late. And then it was all confusion. If you see how Drew Brees hiked the ball, he was like, "Look, we gotta go."
Yeah, but you have to know your job.
It's communication error.
You have to know
it's not really.
And that's why I don't like. That's why the Cowboys are.
It's one play. It costs us the game. Yes.
But teams have come back on y'all, Rashad. Yeah. The Falcons went on a 22-0 run on y'all. That is terrible. That's bad.
22-0.
The whole second half, the Falcons were like, okay, time to stop taking it easy. And Julio Jones single-handedly, no Roddy White, nobody else. Julio Jones, granted, one of the best receivers in the league, but by himself. But I'm saying, when you have one man. But I'm saying, Rashad, they went on a 22-0 run. It's different if he scores once. 22 points?
He didn't score 22.
No, I'm saying they drove the field up on y'all to score 22 points to nothing. And we did that the first half. But I'm saying
they did it.
No. Y'all didn't hold them scoreless. Y'all didn't hold them scoreless. They put up 6 points now. Y'all didn't hold them scoreless. They went on a 22-0 run on y'all. Y'all didn't hold them scoreless.
But we did it the first half. They did the second half. They have a
better offense than us. That's my point. They showed the ability to drive the ball on y'all in the first half. They just didn't convert it into points. And y'all defense, I'm just saying though, y'all defense, even because you said without Orlando Scandrick, I'm talking about your secondary. I'm not talking about your defensive line. I'm talking about your secondary.
The person guarding Julio Jones is out.
Yes, your secondary. And the Falcons aren't even the best passing team in the league. So you're telling me against the Patriots,
Julio Jones is the best receiver in the league right now.
And Gronkowski is the best tight end.
But Gronk doesn't get as many touches as Julio Jones
Boy,
does. Julio Jones is leading the league in touches.
He is, but the Patriots have more. I'm not gonna say they have more weapons, but they definitely throw the ball more than the Falcons, and they're gonna abuse your secondary role more than the Falcons. Julian Edelman.
But see, the Falcons have a run game.
They do, but I'm saying, guess what stops the passing game?
That opens up a lot for Julio Jones.
No, but I'm saying, but if Julio Jones is if Julio Jones, if Julio Jones is consistently double covered, there's still some.
You can't double cover him when Devontae Freeman is running for 3 touchdowns a game. You can't double cover him anymore.
You still can't double cover him.
To stop him.
No. They did not. They always kept the safety over top. They always kept the safety over top of Julio Jones. You see when they handle the ball, the safeties run up.
His plays aren't vertical routes.
They're not all vertical routes.
His routes are deep slants.
His plays are not. But I'm saying if there's a safety, there's
slants.
always a safety sitting over top of the route, but he still gets the ball. That's what I am saying. Your secondary is so poo. Y'all know what's coming. You see it coming, but you can't stop it. So how are you supposed to tell me you're going to stop Gronkowski, the best physical specimen in the league as far as the tight end is, and then Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola? How are you going to stop them? And you expect me to pick the Cowboys to be able to win a game?
I didn't pick the Cowboys to win.
No, I'm saying if y'all are relatively healthy.
Then I picked them.
But how could y'all win such a game?
We
can stop the team.
I'm saying but their defense, you can't act like they're
not going to torch us for 50 points.
No, I mean that's Tom Brady.
They would not torch us for 50 points. No, it doesn't matter if he's Tom Brady.
I don't know. Cowboys defense.
If we was healthy, no, they're not. There's no way. I don't see them getting 30 points on us. We're healthy.
50 points. 50 points is a stretch. 50 points is a stretch. 30.
I don't think they'll get 30 this game.
I think at the least the Patriots score 28 points.
I don't even think they'll score 28.
They score 28 points.
You really believe in that defense, huh?
I'm saying he's not going to torch us like that.
You really
believe?
Offense
isn't meant to torch people.
Are you sure?
The offense is a run offense passing wise. They run the clock out, short passes. They're not going to touch it for 28 points. I bet you they won't. No, they will not get 28 points.
28 points?
They will not get 28
on your hurt
points.
defense?
On our hurt defense, they will not get 28.
Hold on a second. Okay.
I'm about to pull up the stat.
All right. Well, the Patriots are 4th in the league in total points, bro.
Doesn't matter what
and they played a defense that was better than y'all.
Okay.
Pittsburgh.
They played the Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh. They played teams that are better than y'all. And the thing is they're 4th in total points, and they had a bye week. They didn't play this week, and they still are 4th in total points. Y'all defense is 15th in total yards allowed. Y'all defense doesn't make the list when it comes to total points allowed. Not even in the top 17. I'm just saying, man. I don't know if this is fully objective and opinion here. It is biased. It is entirely biased in my opinion. I think so. I think you're talking from the heart and not the head.
Okay.
My vote is they will score at least 28. I think they will score at least 28. At the least, I say at the least 28. Huh? I say 28. I think this is fully objective. I think this is fully objective opinion here. I need to ask Cowboy fans. They really think they could hold the Patriots to 24 points, 24 points and below.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question for Cowboys fans who aren't biased. Who aren't biased.
I said we're gonna lose.
No. But I'm saying you said because your defense is relatively healthy now, technically, because you even said without Orlando Scandrick, you getting all your people back, but your defense is relatively healthy now. So now I'm saying your defense is still relatively healthy, and you're saying they can hold them for under 24 points. So I'm saying
no, I didn't say. I said 224. I said under 28.
To 24?
No, you said you only got to put 24. I said 28.
You said under 24 means 21, 23 or below.
You said 24 or below, and I'm saying 28 or higher. So you got the Patriots not scoring more than 24 points. You got them scoring 24. I got them scoring 28 or higher. So I want to ask unbiased Cowboy fans their opinions about y'all
I'm
defense.
biased.
Y'all
Cowboy
secondary. Y'all second because y'all line is legit. Your
But that
linebacking
secondary.
core is all right, but your secondary's hurt.
With Rolando McClain back and Sean Lee's healthy, we have one of the best linebacker cores there is.
Linebacker core.
They're not right.
Talk-
That's one of the best.
Talking about the Cowboys, y'all all right because y'all don't y'all not even top 10 stopping the run, but
We didn't have Greg Hardy. We didn't have Rolando McClain.
but you still had whatever. But going on from that, we're gonna talk about Greg Hardy's comments actually since he's coming back this week. His first game since being suspended under the domestic violence charges. Greg Hardy.
My man said a lot of. He made some bold statements.
So Greg Hardy, for the intricate stuff of this trial, for those who don't know, Greg Hardy is his accuser at the time was accusing him of having thrown her onto his couch full of semi-automatic guns, and he in his statement to the media, he never addressed the domestic violence accusation. He never addressed it. The suspension. When they asked him about the suspension, or how he felt over the suspension, he said he merely veered it and simply stated, I'm just happy to be able to come back and rush the quarterback, and that's fine. But it's like at some point you have to show some kind of remorse for what you did. And he was just like, I'm just looking to come out guns blazing. And just with the details of how she said he threw her onto a couch of semi-automatic guns, when you say I'm gonna come out guns blazing, it's kind of like, bro, like word choice, man. And then he goes on because they're playing the Patriots. So we were just talking about the Cowboys and Patriots.
Nice segue.
He goes on to say that he talks about Tom Brady and how he's looking forward to bringing Tom Brady. He says he always looks forward to seeing Tom Brady on the ground. But then he goes on to talk about Tom Brady's wife, Gisele Bündchen Brady, and talking about how she's so beautiful and everything like that. And he said he can't wait to see her at the game. Those are his favorite games, and that he hopes she brings her sister and all her friends. And it's like, man, like everybody in the NFL, like even former players, always are talking about Tom Brady's wife. And even Jerry Jones, when he was addressing Greg Hardy's comment, said, guns blazing. Of course, he didn't mean it literally, but excuse me. He says, I hope he does come out ablazing, but guns blazing wasn't the right choice of words. And he said, as far as Tom Brady comments go, Gisele is a beautiful woman. And when Tom Brady married her, he went up 100% in my eyes. I mean, she's a very, very attractive woman. So I'm just like, I mean, if that was my wife, it's just like you just sit there and you're like, bro, why are people talking about like my woman? Like it's kind of like a weird and everybody is like people aren't sensitive about it. They just she's hot, she's fine. Like Bart Scott, a former linebacker for the New York Jets, a few weeks ago was questioning Tom Brady's toughness and said even Gisele doesn't think he's tough, but Giselle's hot, and it's like that's somebody's wife. So like, what do y'all think about Greg Hardy's comments, Jerry Jones' comments, like? And about how that people just keep seeming to just bring up like Tom Brady, his wife. Like, are people jealous of Tom Brady? Do you think there's a jealousy thing going on in the NFL with Tom Brady and the wife he's married to? Khaled, let me hear your opinion on it.
I think there is a slight bit of jealousy because she is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will say that she's beautiful and hot all the time, and I think they don't see Tom Brady as very assertive and aggressive, so they feel like it's easier to make those comments because he won't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady even said, "Oh no, I'm not ticked off about the comment." He was like that. He was gonna they gave Greg Hardy all his praises or whatever. It was like they have a good game or whatever, and they D-line is great, but he never really like said, "Yo, don't talk about my girl like that," or like really got aggressive with them, telling them, "Yo, can y'all not have like these comments about my wife and her sister and her friends?" So I do think there's a slight bit of jealousy, and just stemming from the fact that Tom Brady doesn't speak out too much about the comments they made about his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think they need to chill. Like they need to calm down. Like if they had a wife like that, they wouldn't want the comments like that to be flying all around, to be constantly talking about her and then y'all relationship or her and him about him not being aggressive, and she knows it. Then they wouldn't like that on the other side of the what you call it,
The spectrum.
yeah.
All right, Rashad, what do you think about it?
If you don't like it, then she need to change her career path. I mean, she's a supermodel. I mean, of course, people gonna tell you you look good if you're a supermodel. I mean, that's what you do. You look good for people. So if he gonna get mad, or I mean, granted, it don't affect him, but for Khaled to say like they need to chill out, stop saying that, then she need to stop doing what she's doing. Stop being the person she is.
But how is it that just because somebody looks good gives you the right to talk about them publicly to the media?
What's wrong with saying she's pretty?
Bro, she called her hot.
Right, people when AJ McCarron's wife
Mhm.
for Alabama, and not wife, his
And-
girlfriend.
And you saw what happened to that newscaster, right? The one that pointed her out in the crowd. You saw what happened to him, right? He got suspended for that. You know that, right?
But I mean, what's wrong with it?
Because you can't publicly
can't do
talk
that.
about
You can't be
somebody's
doing
woman. You
that.
have to have some class, and at least in the confines of how you talk about it, you can say she's beautiful, but don't say it to the public media when there's nothing about that woman is being brought up. Ever talk about Tom Brady, the quarterback? Talk about his football game. How you want? There's nothing wrong with you saying you want to see Tom Brady on the ground. There's nothing wrong with that because of course you want to sack him.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you unnecessarily, nobody in the
Brings
media
up
is
his
sitting there
wife.
saying, so what do you think about Tom Brady's wife? Nobody is saying that. Just because she's a model, that doesn't give you the reason just to bring her up and just say she's fine. I look forward to the games that she comes to. What are you implying there? What are you
I
implying?
mean, there's nothing wrong with saying what you want to say.
No, there is some. You have to have a filter and some kind of class.
Especially in the
That's
press
somebody's
conference.
wife. Yeah, in a press conference when she's not brought up. You're bringing her up voluntarily. She was not brought up in the conversation. You're just randomly bringing her up, and that's somebody's wife.
So it's not okay when this, but when when Tony Romo was dating these celebrities and stuff, it was okay for you to talk about them then.
It wasn't okay
When
then.
nobody ever brought it up then.
No, but people
Well,
didn't.
she said
People
the game.
didn't sing.
Everybody
No.
pointed out at the game.
No. People point her out at the game. People point out celebrities at game, but nobody would sit there and say,
People did
that-
talk about her.
no. But here's the difference. Let me.
Tony Romo's hot girlfriend making him not play well. What?
Here's here is. But here's the difference. People voluntarily talked about. They brought up Jessica Simpson in conjoinment with Tony Romo because Tony Romo started playing bad. He started dating Jessica Simpson at the same time. People are like, oh, could this be the source of his bad play? But people didn't voluntarily say. And you got to remember, Giselle was not a big thing in the NFL until she married Tom Brady. Jessica Simpson is a global star. So people already have their see.
They knew her.
No, they do exactly. That's my point. You can't compare a pop star to a model. I would not know anything about Giselle. She was not married to Tom Brady. So if people talk about, people already knew about Jessica Simpson and have their opinions about Jessica Simpson, and she's already put herself out there as a sex symbol in her own line of work. And she's as a music star, she's gonna be out there for everybody to see.
A lot.
Giselle is out there. Giselle, she's a model. Yes, models put themselves out there. They model clothing lines. But here's the thing: when people ask you about Jessica Simpson, nobody's asking about Giselle. They voluntarily say stuff about Giselle. People ask stuff about Jessica Simpson. They don't ask stuff about Giselle. When people, if it's a broadcaster saying it, it's still wrong for a broadcaster. If a broadcaster saying, "Hey, is it possibly Jessica Simpson the source of his bad play?" That's a broadcasting. But when other players, your contemporaries, are saying stuff like that,
it wasn't just media; it was players too.
Players were not talking about Jessica Simpson the way they talk about Giselle. The way they talk about Giselle is like they talk about Giselle to an extent that I sometimes wonder they talk about Giselle more than they talk about actual players, the other players. When it comes to talking about the Patriots, I feel like every time there's Patriot talk or somebody talk about Tom Brady, at this point now it's either about deflated footballs, it's about Giselle, or it's about Spygate, or it's about their Super Bowl rings, or they're just excellent. 5 things, and two of those things are what's it called? Was scandals. One is his wife, and and 2 things are actual success. So and here's the thing: when it comes to Jessica Simpson, when you're losing, people are going to look at anything to try and find the source of your losing. But when you're winning, I mean, and you just bring up his wife, and you just came off suspension, and you just bring up his wife unnecessarily, and people are looking for you to address domestic violence, your domestic violence accounts, but you can't address. I mean, you can't address those, but you can change it up to somebody's wife unnecessarily. That's just insensitive.
But you're doing it. Y'all doing this because it's Greg Hardy.
No, I'm not doing it because I just brought up Bart Scott. I just said Bart Scott, and people said he was classist for saying this stuff too. If you go and watch his and hers, Jamel Hill, a female pundit on the media says that's just classless. You don't talk about somebody's wife like that. There's a line that you don't cross. If you're talking about Tom Brady and somebody asks you, like, why do we even have to bring up this man's personal life with his wife? Who cares? He's a football player. Why does everybody care so much about his wife? We don't need to talk about his wife. His wife doesn't matter to the NFL. She's not a player. Why do we always talk about his wife? Why? Like, I don't understand it. Like, she's brought up by players all the time. Giselle. Like, I heard stuff about Giselle all the time. But if you pay attention to a lot of stuff the players say, I've read the media stuff about a lot of what these players say about the Patriots. A lot of people say the best thing about the Patriots is Giselle. A lot of blah Giselle. This is a retired player. Bart Scott is a retired player who has a comment to make about Tom Brady, his toughness, and you talk about how his woman probably thinks he's not. She knows he's not tough, but then you say, oh, but she's hot though. But I'm saying, but at the same.
Say what you want to say.
What'd you say?
Millions of dollars can make people say what they want to say.
You said millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars make people.
But then you also have to atone for those comments for being perceived as classless. But I'm saying, so you're saying it's right for people to just say stuff.
How much do people think they care about what people think about them? Honestly, in the league, they have their money. They have their money.
If people didn't care what people say about them, why do people care so much about what the media writes about them? If people don't care, if Kevin Durant didn't care what people said about him, but you said they got millions of dollars, right? Kevin Durant has millions of dollars, right? Okay. And people don't care about what they say about them.
Care about what he said to Stephen A? No, not really.
But I'm saying, but if he didn't care, why would he care what people say about him? Why would he care? Why would he respond if he did not care? Why would they respond if they do not care? That's a public figure. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James.
Kobe Bryant's a winner. Kobe Bryant's like Jordan. Kobe Bryant plays to win. He plays for
but if it wasn't for the fact that people don't care about how they see, why do people hold press conferences after they do something wrong?
When does LeBron care?
What do you mean? After LeBron lost in the finals, he came out and publicly said, I held the villain role because I thought nobody liked me and I wanted to embrace the villain role, but that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. That's not who I want to be seen by the public. That's what LeBron said because he cares about how people see him. If players did not care about what people see them as, why don't they just not address the media at all? Why don't they just act like playoff jerks? If Kevin Durant if Kevin Durant says, hey, I don't care what y'all have to say or I care about how y'all see me, why don't you just jerk off the media every time? Why don't you just I don't care about y'all? No, you don't get fined if you talk to them. Yeah. You can blow them off like Russell Westbrook does. You can blow them off like Russell Westbrook does. And you see how people perceive you in the media. Players care because that affects your brand. That affects your brand. If you just blow off the media, it affects the money for some people. Exactly. But I'm saying,
it's not affecting anything for Greg Hardy, so he can say what he wants to.
But what endorsements? How can you say that doesn't affect anything for Greg Hardy when the only team that's willing to sign him was the Cowboys? If people don't care about how they see you, why is it? If people don't care about public perception, why is it after Ray Rice did his thing, he was so remorseful afterwards? Why is that? If people don't care, why didn't Ray Rice? Why didn't why? Huh?
Because no team was going to sign Ray Rice. You do that to get.
But why wouldn't
you get back to making your money?
But why wouldn't?
Make your money?
Well, Rashad, why wouldn't anybody sign Ray Rice?
Because what he did.
And doesn't that affect public perception?
But he does what he has to do to get.
And why? So why do people say, hey, the only team that's willing to sign him was the Cowboys? Because the Cowboys are Hollywood. The Cowboys are the team seen as they bring in people and they bring in controversy. They don't care about controversy. There's certain players that you know that when you bring them in, they have media fanfare with them. There's certain players that you know when you sign them, you're bringing on a whole lot to bring on with them. There's a reason why Ray Rice hasn't been picked up because when you sign him, there's going to be a public perception of your team and him. They're going to associate you with that person. When Michael Vick signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Steeler fans were like, why are we bringing on a dog fighter? Public perception matters. These players care about what's said in the media. If Kevin Durant did not care about what's said in the media, why would he even address, oh, y'all going to write what you want to write anyway. I don't know why I'm being nice to y'all. Blah, blah, blah. Y'all going to write what you want to write. If you didn't care, you wouldn't even say nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't feel no type of way about it if you didn't care. At the end of the day, everybody cares about how somebody sees them. Like we learned in our class, you have a public self, you have your real self, you have your ideal self. And the ideal self is how you want people to see you. And nobody wants to be seen as a villain. Name me if you can go and tell me one person, even in just a jokingly type of way, that wants to be seen as a villain in their real life scenarios. Nobody. That's why Greg Hardy was joking around yesterday at the press conference, but he wasn't straight up just a jerk to the media. He was joking and was insensitive about what had happened with the domestic violence case, but he was still in a joking manner, joking with the media. Players care, and when you're talking about somebody's wife uncaringly, you have it's your constituted rights to have the freedom of speech to say what you want to say. But I'm pretty sure somebody wouldn't like it for somebody to go talk about somebody else's wife that same way. If you personally wouldn't like somebody to say something about your girlfriend to the public around your friends, like, oh yeah, she fine, bro, she fine. Then imagine how somebody else in a global picture, in a global scale, can feel when they're talking about their wife consistently. Yeah. If you want to say it in the confines of your own, but don't go to the media, a public outlet, and say it. There's repercussions for that. Yeah, when it hasn't been, the media asks you questions, and they ask you questions and anticipate you to answer on the topic of those questions. They don't anticipate you to just, hey, we're talking about cheese. Go ahead and bring up salami or something like that. Like, we're talking about cheese. But if we're talking about Tom Brady, there's no need to bring up his wife. We're talking about how you're going to match up against the Patriots this weekend. How does that? What does his wife fall into line with that? His wife has nothing to do with that. If I don't see his wife anywhere on the football field when it comes to you rushing the passer or getting sacks. So I mean, it's just a level of class that you have to have with your comments. And it's not just Greg Hardy because of the domestic violence thing. It's him, Bart Scott. I mean, his comments are worse because it came right after the domestic violence thing, and he just got reinstated and did not address the domestic violence charges at all. And then it somehow just disappeared. Which most people are saying that he paid her off. Until it's confirmed, I don't ever say somebody pays somebody off. But I mean, when you say you reach a settlement and it was resolved outside of court, that's where most things allude to. But it's just when you just come off suspension, you want to hopefully show some remorse and show some kind of like, oh, I'm sorry for what I did or something like that. And he didn't show any of that. But we thank y'all for everybody that's tuning in because we're out of time. But we thank everybody for tuned in. Catch us every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We follow our KBR Sports Twitter page at KBR_sports, where you can catch our topics for each day, and you can even see links to our past shows. And you can go on YouTube and subscribe to our KBR Sports YouTube channel, where you can see our episode from today, our past episodes, and everything, and following episode that might come up or everything for KBR Sports. But we thank for everybody for tuning in, and y'all have a great day.